Hey, hey, hey.
We're back.
It's still podcast day.
Yes, it is.
If you
And then lunch.
And then lunch. Woohoo.
I'm hungry.
So if you haven't watched, we're still here with our wives, Heather and Sue.
Yes.
The last episode, we kind of talked ministry, some of their perspectives of it, some struggles of it, some of why just there's men and women and
Talked about a lot of
little
stuff.
bit of differences. So if you want to check that out, go back in our videos and watch that one. But we're still here. And what we didn't do last episode that we kind of flipped it that we probably should have done is
this may even go first.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what our producer decides.
Yeah. Not now that you
We can't do
You
it
can
now.
always cut that out.
unless we do a whole new intro.
Yeah.
But no, what we didn't do is we didn't really get personal about how we met, how long we've been together, kind of just how God's been.
I can't wait for this.
God's been in our
I'm
relationship.
scared.
God's been in our relationship from day one, and just kind of looking back, overseeing it, like, wow, that's really cool how that worked out. And so, do you guys want to start?
No, you guys start.
All right, we'll start. So, we have been married 5 years.
5
in
years,
August,
yes.
and we met 2016 December 27th
Oh gosh, yes,
on a blind date.
yes,
Blind date.
yes.
Blind?
And the person who set us up actually went on the date with us.
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, that's
Wait.
awkward.
and talked to
I think
us
I knew who
the
that
whole time.
was.
Oh,
Don't say names.
I'm not going to say names, but yeah, I know who it was. Actually,
It was
I
weird.
think.
She talked for us the whole time, and
Yes.
then she pulled the "I have to go now," so she went.
She ran
for,
next door to get toilet paper.
and then we're just sitting there
And
like
we were sitting in
Awkward.
Big B.
really
this is
awkward.
weird. But I,
She did something right.
it was weird because I was 22, working at Target, didn't know where my life was going.
No,
She was 21,
still very
senior
determined.
in college, motivated to
had
graduate.
a straight plan, and he told me because I asked him, I said, "Well, what's your future goals, and what are what are your plans?"
He was like,
I don't know.
I'm still trying to figure it out,
Yeah,
Oh no.
but it worked out.
So
We
was
ended up-
it love at first sight? Come on.
I
no,
don't think it was love at first sight. It was interest on my end at first sight for sure.
it was.
Like,
Why is this guy messaging me on Facebook now?
He's a weirdo.
Yeah. Even though the date was weird, like I still liked her personality and I liked her. And so like I was like, hey, that was super weird. Can we do it without the assistance maybe?
Right.
And the
kinda-
weirdness.
Yes,
And
that's
so
what
we
he
built
said.
our friendship up and talked online a lot. And then because she was in Grand Rapids and I was in Jackson.
How long was it before you
Before we dated.
proposed?
Before we proposed.
Yes.
So from December until that June, we were friends.
Yeah, I was actually dating someone at that time.
Yeah.
as well.
This sounds
And
I
weird.
was
telling
I was not a
me
great
she
person.
wasn't.
I was not. I was young.
I'm dating
Okay.
Jesus. Yeah.
I was young.
Jesus' name is Ben, apparently.
Okay.
Did you really say I was dating Jesus?
I think I did. I will be honest.
Are you serious?
I'm just working on
be
myself right now.
We all know what that means.
But anyway, so we met in December. We started dating.
You either have a like saint or you're hardcore friend zone.
I was
he was
very
so
much in the
friend
friend
zone.
zone.
For how long?
Were you really? Oh, man.
Oh.
There was one text she sent me that said the word friend 4 times.
I'm so glad that you're
How
my friend.
devastating.
Yes. Thanks for
so
being my
sorry.
friend. I appreciate this friendship. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was pretty deep in the friend zone. And I was okay with, like, I liked
It's
being
not
her
about the
friend.
journey, it's about the destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did enjoy her friendship. But so back to your question.
And still do, of course,
Still
I'm
do.
sure. Yeah.
I do value her friendship a lot. But we met December 2016. We started dating June 2017. Proposed February 2018. Married August 2018.
Wow.
So from when you met, it was 14 months till you got married. Or proposed.
Proposed.
Posed, yes.
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just the way, like, even you want to tell the story of how we started dating? Like, after all the boyfriend nonsense happened.
Yeah,
We
I
kinda
was
were
not in a
rebuilding
very
our
good
friendship.
spot as far as when I was in college. So yeah, I definitely will admit I let him on quite a bit. I tried to let him know he is my friend only, but I mean,
I was
I
comfortable with.
understand.
I was
For a
like,
minute.
okay,
You were-
your friend.
this
Yeah.
is
You
good
were
for
you
now.
were not quite comfortable, but okay.
For a minute he was.
I was for a little bit.
But the relationship I was in did not last very long. And then I was single, truly was single. Truly.
For real.
Yeah.
This time.
And so we still remained friends. I just wasn't ready. Realistically, I was not ready to jump into anything. I was working, and like I said, I was just finishing my degree. I was a senior. I was student teaching that next year, so I was in between a real teaching position and just those summer jobs. So I got a summer job at a daycare. I worked with elementary school students, but during the summer, my aunt, who I had grown up going to her house, I was very close with her. She was not doing well. She was on hospice, so I knew the time was coming. I still wasn't prepared, but I knew the time was coming. It was one day my parents told me, we're going to have to spend the day out there. We're not going to work. We're going out there. And so, of course, I asked for work off. I didn't get it off. It was this summer kids program was so important that I didn't get work off. So I go to work, and I tell my parents I'm going to drive out there after work. So I drive out, and I have no idea why. I had handwritten directions from my mom. I did not use Google Maps for some reason. I don't know. But that was part of God's plan. I didn't use Google Maps. But I ended up missing. There was a step missing in her handwritten directions. And it's actually funny because we live right out there now where I was. Yeah. I
so
drive
funny.
past that spot all the time.
Yeah.
So I stop at a stop sign, and I don't know which way to turn. I have no service right there. So I can't even call her. So I'm like, I'm just going to guess. So I take a guess, and I believe I turned right. And my brain, I was like, nope, this is wrong. I feel it's wrong. So I go to pull in to this driveway, and it was the driveway to a golf cart shop. And I get a flat tire as I'm pulling in.
Ooh.
And I'm in the boonies, which is where we live now, but flat tire. And so I pull off to the side, and I still don't have service yet. Can't call anybody. And this man pulls in behind me, and I do never do this ever. I do the stupidest thing I've ever done because he says, hey, come to my house. I'll fix this for you.
You didn't.
Oh, yeah. Again.
You did?
I was
You went to his house?
21 years old.
You were old enough to know better.
Old enough to know better, but I was in a desperate situation. I was praying in my head. I was like, okay, God,
Please.
this is either it or this is going to be a great guy. He was honestly
He was a very nice guy.
very nice Christian man. God protected me for sure. But as soon as I got service, I called Caleb, and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to tell you where I'm at.
But wait, he's just your friend.
Yeah, he is just my
good-
friend, but he was the first
I was a
person
good
I thought
friend
to
at
call.
this point.
friend.
Okay.
We were.
I had stepped up a little
you
bit.
moved up one
He didn't
one
move
rung.
up. He
Okay,
moved
got
up
it.
the friend zone.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
Caleb is who I called. He was the first person I thought to call. And what did you say ran through your mind when I told you exactly what I was
You were
doing?
getting kidnapped and locked in some guy's basement is what I thought.
Yeah, he said, how far away were
So
you from
I
that
lived
spot?
with your son at the time, Andrew, in the
Yep.
Oaks. And she called me out on Hawkins Road, which is about probably a 15, 20-minute drive.
Yep.
Wow.
From my side of the story, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep, probably.
So I had just gotten home from work early, was sitting at my
And you were at Target.
the water store at this time.
Water
I was a
store.
truck
Okay.
driver. Sitting in my apartment, just got home, bare feet, shorts, chilling in my apartment. She calls me, says, hey, I'm going to this guy's house to fix my tire. I said, what?
What?
And she said, yeah, I was like, what? Give me his address now. And I'm on my way. And so I didn't put shoes, I put flip-flops on, ran out the door, got in my car, got to the Hawkins Road in probably 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, he made it there quick.
I was there quick because I was like, this is sketchy.
Yeah.
And he ended up being a very, very nice guy. But her car was held up. He's like, hey, keep it here. You guys go visit your aunt. So now I'm driving her to visit her aunt
In Weberville.
in Weberville.
Oh, that's 45 minutes
Yeah.
at least
So-
from where you were.
So we drive
maybe.
out there,
Yeah.
and it was kind of I don't know how everybody knew it was coming that day, but everybody just
Everyone
knew
was
she was
there.
going to pass that day. So we walked in And everybody was fine having lunch, like they were happy and good spirits. As soon as we walked in, the mood shifted. Like you could just feel like, ooh,
Well,
Really?
She started not because of us.
not like,
She-
oh, who's this? But yeah,
She entered. I mean, the act. We didn't even have time to grab lunch. She
Yeah, we-
entered the active stages of dying at that moment.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
we were there by her side. And I know that this was the first time I had actually gotten to experience this, being able to be with someone when they pass and just being able to pray them into heaven and sing them into heaven. It's it's sad. It really is because you're losing them
was-
on earth, but it is such a
it was
beautiful.
beautiful. It was a beautiful. And I'm just there
healing.
as this weird guy.
You're like, hi, my name's Caleb.
But the comfort he's able to provide to my family, and we're not together at that time. But I'm watching him.
Or so you thought. Anyway,
So,
go ahead.
so on my end, we weren't together, but I'm watching him put his arms around my father, and
wow.
and that's his sister. So, and I'm watching him hug my mother. He's holding up people he'd never met before because our whole family was there, and he's doing the dishes for us while we're there.
That was a whole
around her.
act. He was reeling you in. Come on. Everybody knows it. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say,
No,
while
that's just my character.
while we were there grieving and just around her bedside. So, and he had never met her. But it was funny because her personality was always to welcome a stranger into her home every time. And we called because we had a niece who couldn't be there. We called her and said, guess what? There's a stranger here. She's never met him. And said, does he have shoes on? Because she would always tell him to take your shoes off.
No shoes. I'm
No
wearing
shoes.
I'm
He had
barefoot.
taken his
Really?
flip flops off.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it was just
How
the way
interesting is
it
that?
worked out was hilarious. That because she had always, my aunt, her name was Lorenda. My aunt Lorenda had always welcomed strangers into her home, and he wasn't a stranger to me, but to everybody else, they hadn't really met him, and so it was beautiful, and it felt. We talked about it as being God ordained. It felt like God had.
And so you
set
just
it up.
automatically fell in love with Caleb.
I was pretty close to begin with at that point. I think that really.
Okay.
It's a long
It's
game.
sealed. the
Yeah,
deal.
it
It
is.
is.
It's
Sealed
the
the deal.
marathon, right?
I was able to, his
That-
character. I'd
I-
never had anybody do something like
And
that.
and
for
I
me.
think just experiencing death together is something that I think every couple should do at some point because you see a real, not like, hey, go kill somebody, but
just the way you say
but
that was
like
kinda weird.
We would not promote that
No.
here at Rives
Not
Church.
promoting that.
but I think like death changes people.
It does.
It does.
And so when you can experience the loss of a relative or a sibling or a friend, or when you can experience loss together, even though I didn't know her, like I could experience it and be there in comfort. I think it kind of flips a switch to see how people react in certain situations. And so for us, like we went for a walk that night when the funeral home showed up.
Yeah.
And so we went for a walk so we didn't have
Did
to
you hold
see her.
hands?
Yeah. We ended up holding hands by the
First
end of the
time.
walk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. First time. No.
And then I drove her home. So from Weberville, we drove all the way home, and then we pulled in her driveway, and she was just bawling at this point. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to lose you as a friend. I don't think we can date. What if this happens? What if this happens? And I
This
said,
is where we should write a book. This is so. I mean, it's like a story book kind of
But-
phrase.
just losing her mind. Like, what if we don't work? When I just said, what if we do?
Yeah.
What if we do?
Wow.
What do you do with that?
Like,
Yeah.
and so
There's always another side of the coin.
yeah. So then we dated for 6 months. We're engaged for 5 months, and we've been married for almost 5 years.
With 3 children.
Oh.
So I was just doing the math. So every 18 months, you guys have had a kid.
Oh, it's about time.
Well,
no,
no,
it's
it's not. Every 18 months we had 2 of them.
Right?
Two of them we had at the same
But I
time.
mean, if you average how many kids you have, it would be every 18 months.
Okay.
I mean, two you had twins, which that's I
Good
can't even
math.
I can't even go there. That's a lot.
Yeah. I think
That's
we're
something
hitting the
to
brakes
experience
on that one.
together too, though. Is raising twins are a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
raising a family together, raising children
Oh,
together, it definitely there's a lot. It tests you a lot. Our personalities are very different. We're that complement each other for sure, but we are completely like opposite ends of the spectrum, and so. We've definitely butted heads on raising our kids so far. And our kids are only 2 in the 2 years that we've had kids. So
Well, Sue,
Uh-oh,
I'll
here
let
it comes.
you start and then I'll fix it.
Oh, no. Okay, so our story goes way back to, what year was it?
1983.
No, babe, 1980.
Okay, 80.
We were in ninth grade.
Go
That's the first time we met.
Yeah, okay, 80.
Okay, 1980, ninth grade.
You were 14.
I was 14. Wasn't allowed to date till I was 16.
I was 15.
But we saw each other in science class,
Biology.
biology. I think you
Second
actually,
room, second floor.
I think you actually
Room 202.
I sneezed and you sent over a tissue across the room and
Yeah,
it was
it was the first class after lunch.
Why did you have a
Not
pink
that I remember
tissue?
any of the details about all of that, but
So, and literally it was one of those moments when I was like, oh, wow, who's that guy?
yeah.
Can you hear that? Is that loud enough? Okay.
Oh yeah.
That was our first meeting. And that was the beginning.
No, I
Just the
can
beginning.
remember you sitting over at the table like across there or across, and she would look over at me and I would be like,
I'm telling you,
"Sup,
I was
girl?"
shy.
And she was
I
like,
was shy back then.
very
so
shy. She
I
didn't
just
talk at
blushed.
all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what transition
That all
happened since then, but nonetheless. Anyway, go ahead.
That all changed.
Yes, it did.
So yeah, that was kind of the beginning. And I wasn't allowed to date. I thought he was so cute.
No.
And he would always flirt with me and we'd flirt back and forth. But for some reason, why did I ended up setting you up with the girl I sat next to. We're not going to say her name.
No, we're not going to say her name.
Not going to say her name. I ended up
Yeah.
setting you up with her.
You
Why
sure did.
did I do that?
And
then
I dated
said-
her for over a year.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to date yet. I think that was part of it. But yeah, I was attracted to him.
I mean, you
Dating-
would have never known it.
I was playing hard to get, probably just a little bit, just a little bit.
A lot of it.
Yeah. So are we really going to tell all of it? How much time do we have?
He can,
8 minutes until after reset.
he can cut out a whole
Okay.
bunch of stuff if he needs to.
Oh my gosh, where do we even start?
You already started.
It's such a long story. Oh my
We dated in
heavens.
high school.
We dated in high school.
Right?
We broke up, got back together, broke up. Why did we?
I don't know.
I
You
don't
have to
even
ask
know why we
yourself
did
that
that.
because you broke up with me
I was
every time.
constantly breaking up. I'm not really sure.
I did never break up with you. You
Back
broke
and
up with me. Every.
I know.
Can I
Playing the
say
long
this? Can I say
game.
this clearly?
It was
every
definitely a long
time.
game.
Yeah, you have to answer that. I can't answer that. Why you did that?
Oh my heavens. Anyway, but
I
so
love that the truth is coming out. It's going to be on social media, and all your friends are going to see it. Oh, this is so
But I'm
good.
not kidding. We were how old? And he would say, we would get back and forth, and
16, 17.
he would say to me, he'd say, I know you don't believe this, but we're going to get married someday. And I was like, what?
I'd say you can date whoever you want. I
Date
don't care.
whoever you want.
Whatever.
We're going to get married.
Doesn't bother me
someday.
none.
Yeah. So we dated in high school,
Dated in high school.
broke up,
Broke up.
went to Bible school. He dated someone else.
Well, we didn't. I didn't finish high school, so that was a
You going to
thing.
tell that part too?
No, that's not
Okay.
part of the story. Anyway, I didn't finish high school.
No.
You did.
Okay. But we broke up, went
Mm-hmm.
to Bible school. He dated someone else. I dated someone else. Honestly, we thought we were probably going to marry those other
Pretty
people.
sure about that. Kind of yes.
Yeah, kind of thought
Yeah.
that was going to happen. But I can't speak for you, but I always knew. I didn't know I was going to marry JP at the time, but there was just always something. It was only him. He was the only one that I ever truly loved.
And so why'd you date the other guy then?
I don't know. We were in college.
I mean, that's a question. I mean, I think
fair
that's
question.
a fair question.
It's a fair question.
You know,
Yeah. And so we ended up trying to think. There's all these little stories that happened in between. But we ended up, he came home from Bible school. He was actually dating somebody else. I thought I was almost engaged. And God just made it very clear because
That's not how it
we were
happened.
always still friends.
That is not how it happened.
Wait, what did I miss? What part I miss?
I was dating another girl,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
were. I went over to my mom's house. I opened the door, and you're sitting in the living room. I'm like, what's she doing here? I was dating another girl, and of course, my mom, the what do you call it? Conniver? No,
Conniving?
Yeah. She set it up. I know her.
Because her and I always got along. She was.
Yeah, I know.
I was always
know all
her
about
favorite.
that. Anyway, yeah, broke up with the other girl, and
Yep.
then we started dating.
Yep.
And by that time, we dated for a while. We were working,
after Bible school.
dating. Yeah, and then we got to the point I was 23 when we were kind of like at the point of, okay, maybe we should just, I was like, hey, let's get married. So anyway, you can start from there, and then I'll correct your view of it because I'll just add my recollection.
Okay. We have two different sides of this story, right? So I went on a mission trip, and I knew when I was on that mission trip that I loved him, wanted to marry him. There was no question.
While she
in
was
my
talking
mind.
to another guy.
No, we were broken up. And so
Okay. Well, if you say so, baby.
I had no.
This is
It's
similar to ours a
It's
little
okay.
bit. Like,
It's not that
you're
bad.
so great.
Two
Here's
different-
this other guy.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
And so I had no question that I wanted to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh gosh, we're not going to tell the whole airport story.
Oh, no.
We
Don't
can't
do
go into
that.
can't
No.
go into that.
We
That
don't-
might be.
we don't want to. We don't want to throw shade at anyone.
Okay, let's.
And
no,
that will get me worked up.
We will tell
so
parts.
I don't want to do
Okay.
that. Anyway, all that to say,
So,
there may or may not have been a person who was going to visit her in an airport, and I may
thought
or
we
may
weren't
not.
telling
I'm not
this.
telling the whole story.
Okay.
I may or may not have wanted to buy a ticket and go out to California to somebody's neck. So anyway, go ahead, continue.
Okay,
Because they were
so-
messing with my future wife.
so that didn't happen. None of those things.
When you were in New Guinea on your mission trip, I had bought the ring already.
That's so cool.
She led me on.
No, I did not. I knew I wanted to marry you. There was no question.
Just so sensitive about that.
I just thought we were going to have a little more time to prepare, and this is where
Okay.
everybody.
Explain a little more time to prepare. Here we go. You ready? Here it goes.
We might.
Here it goes.
This might be a two-part story. Okay, this part's going to make me look really bad, but I have to be
Mm-hmm. The
totally
whole
honest.
world is going
I
to
was
know the
honest.
truth.
It's okay.
I have to be totally honest. So 4 minutes,
Come on, don't worry about the time.
2, 1.
Just say it.
Okay, so my dad always planned way ahead. He always had his ducks in a row. And so I thought to myself, okay, I don't want to have a long engagement. So we should probably wait to get engaged because I want to be able to save money, make sure we have
Does JP have a
everything
401k?
planned. I didn't want
Does
him to
he
have
have
a
$100,000 in the back?
but
I'm
I wanted
23
to have
years
a little
old,
stability, So anyway.
What 23-year-old has
I
stability?
know, nobody
Back
does.
then, in
At
the
23,
80s?
I feel so bad now. But anyway, so you start from there.
And so I had the ring, and so we would go on dates. And I first proposed on September 15th,
Opening day of bow season.
opening day of bow season.
Ooh.
I know this.
1997. And of course she said no.
97.
97. When were we married?
87.
No, 87. Sorry. Oh, Lord. I am old.
We had kids by 97.
Yeah, 97. We had kids. 87, 1987. September 15th, bow season. And so she said no, of course, which I was like, okay, whatever.
And I didn't actually mean no.
Okay, well, so I didn't understand lady lingo. That
I
no
just-
really didn't mean no,
Well,
and yes doesn't
I
really
just
mean
wanted
yes.
to
I hadn't
wait
figured that
a
out
little
yet.
bit.
That
Just
I had to be
wait
a little bit
bit.
more questioning of, do you really mean no, or do you really mean? I didn't
I
get it
just
yet.
meant let's wait a little bit.
It
Let's
would have been
save some
easier
money,
had
pay
you
off
just
some
said that.
bills. Did you tell them we had a credit card bill
I had a credit card bill.
from a past girlfriend?
Yes, a past
So,
girlfriend.
Yeah.
So she was worried about paying that off before we got married, which I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd take the ring, I'd stick it in my pocket on dates, and we'd go to wherever. And I would just set it on the table, hoping she would say yes. And I'm like, whatever.
Finally, all my friends were like, Sue, what are you doing? Like, marry this guy. I knew I wanted to marry him. So anyway, that was stupid. I
love
never
you
done
dearly,
that.
but that is the worst way to tell somebody that you don't want to marry them by saying no. I really want to marry you, but no.
No,
So,
Okay.
Dalton, cut it, and I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
Oh, it gets worse.
I'm sure.
Trust me.
Here's the thing.
It gets really worse.
We're so messy. I mean,
our life
there's
is
so many
messy.
parts of the
It's
story
really
that we don't
messy.
even have time to tell.
We have learned so much. Oh,
Oh my gosh.
So, what was the proposal that did it? Was it like, because he just kept putting the ring on the table? What was the one? Did you?
She don't
actually,
remember.
Did you actually do an elaborate proposal?
No,
or
she
just
won't
said-
remember.
Yes.
She just said yes.
she
one
won't
day.
remember.
Took it off the Waffle House
I
table.
do. So he made, and it wasn't about how he did the proposal, but he made steak and shrimp. Are you? I feel like someone's laughing.
Dalton's giggling.
Our producer's over there giggling at us.
He made steak and shrimp, very nice dinner, and it was so wonderful. But it wasn't about the proposal.
Where was it
itself.
at?
It was at your mother's.
What room did we sit
Dining
in?
room table.
Okay.
Table was set, candles.
You know where you sat?
Beautiful. Yep. I sat here. Here's the window.
Mm-hmm.
You sat,
Yep, on the other
Yep.
side. Yep.
And that was the one you said
and
yes?
that was the one. But I knew all the way back when I was on my mission trip.
Honestly-
I knew he was the one. I've known he was the one.
I've thought about it for
way
years, and
before
I was
that.
completely clueless to how women communicate.
You were.
I was like,
yes.
no.
And I didn't
but I
know how
really
to
love you. I'm
communicate.
like,
Then
You could say
here's
yes.
a ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, no. Yes. No.
I would have said yes the first time if I would redo it. He doesn't believe.
I don't believe that for nothing.
No, I mean,
You kidding me?
I
Now
s-
she'd be like, you need to double that 401k up, boy.
How long?
That's some money in the bank.
It's so true. It's so true.
How long did you hold on to the ring before the first proposal? Because this is a question. Like, I think a lot of guys hold the rings. Like,
I didn't hold it real long. I bought it a week
I was
before
in
she
New Guinea.
returned
You
from
bought
New
it.
Guinea.
okay,
Yeah.
So Valentine's Day 2018, she wanted to look at rings, and we went and looked at rings. I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever, because we had kind of already talked about marriage at that point.
Yeah.
So she went and looked, and she found one. She was like, oh, this is really pretty. Didn't think anything of it. 3 days later, I listed my truck, sold my truck in a day, went and bought that ring, and where you were gone, you were in school.
Yeah, I think I was in.
You were finishing up school or in something, and I said, hey, the day you get back from school, it was like a Wednesday. Like the day you get back from school, we're gonna go on a like celebratory date that you're done with school.
But you kept telling me
It's not big.
he kept telling me, he's like, this is gonna be like
It's
the
casual.
cheapest date. I was
Nonchalant.
like, but and like he was like, don't expect anything big. Like he told me that to start. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. He's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm not doing anything big
It's
at
not
all
gonna be
for you.
big.
It's going to be like, I was thinking like not even McDonald's. Like we would get McDonald's, maybe eat in the parking lot of McDonald's. Like,
That sounds like our dates, babe. No.
Oh, yeah. Milkshakes.
No, that's a great date
First
now.
try.
Yeah, you're right.
Milkshake do now.
Right.
We had Dairy
While the
Queen
kids-
last night.
While the kids sleep in the back. Yeah.
But I kept telling her it's nothing big, and then finally I was just like, hey, wear something pink, like
Well, you told me
Valentine's
dress
Day,
up.
end of college, like
Dress
let's
up
wear
for
something.
Was that
McDonald's.
like a clue for you?
It was, but I didn't want to believe it because I don't like I'm gonna look forward to this and,
And
I'm
then-
gonna expect it and then I'm gonna like because if I was gonna be disappointed, I would have
that
it would
would've
have been
been-
terrible. So I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
But just another thing of how like God was involved in this because I ordered that ring and they said it would be in. I didn't even have the ring yet. And so here comes Wednesday. We have this date planned. I'd already told everybody I wanted to propose, had a whole thing set up,
Had photographers.
didn't have a ring. And my mom's like,
Oh.
well, get a ring pop. And I'm
no.
like,
That would have been cute.
go buy a dollar store cheap one and just tell her the real one's coming. I'm like, no, I don't really want to do that. And I'm dressed, getting ready to go on our date, trying to figure out, okay, what the heck am I going to do? And the ring store called me and said, hey, Caleb, your ring's in. This is like 4:00.
So you ran over there and got it.
So I ran and picked it up, and I had the ring in my pocket for an hour.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And like drove her all around town. I'm like, it's nothing.
Yeah,
big.
I had thought that maybe I needed to take it to the jeweler to get the tarnish taken off before she
Get
put
it
on her
repainted.
finger.
But I just think it's
It's so
interesting
true.
that
It's
guys
so
buy the
true.
ring and then they hold on to it for they're like, I had the ring in my pocket for a year. And I'm
Oh,
like,
before they got the
why?
nerve.
Like, I couldn't wait an hour.
Yeah.
Barely could wait an hour. But I drove her all around town. She's like, where are we going? And she's guessing random
Tells me we're
things.
going to have a picnic, and it's February.
February. And I'm like, we're going to go have a picnic. And so
Okay.
we pull into Cascades, and she's wearing a dress. And she's like, Caleb, are we seriously having a picnic?
I was in heels and a dress, and we were gonna go
were
walk
like,
through
what
the
is he
park in
thinking?
February. Yeah,
But then we walked to the little amphitheater, and I had friends set up a whole thing and take pictures.
we didn't
and
actually
I
eat
didn't
there.
stay
It wasn't a picnic.
wasn't
We went
a
to
picnic.
Ichiban. So
Oh,
Nice.
Just a quick, hey, here, let's go eat.
yeah.
But yeah, it was just funny. Like I had the
Yeah.
ring for an hour.
Yeah, I don't.
What extremes? 1 hour and
Months. Couple months.
wasn't
But that wasn't
months.
his choice.
Was not months.
Maybe.
Maybe it was.
It was.
And you know what? The coolest thing to me when you showed me the ring, I was like, that is, he remembered exactly what I said. We must have talked about like what my favorite was.
I don't
You got
forget
the
a whole lot.
exact thing. I love
Yeah,
it.
I have that problem. Oh,
There's your fuzzy feeling.
There's that moment.
So how long have you guys been married?
Ooh.
30
this
going on
summer,
34.
34? 89.
89.
34.
Is that right? Is our counting right?
And you dated kind of
Ooh,
off
we
and on,
dated
a
from-
bunch from 15
We
to
knew each
23.
We met. We
10
were
years
14.
before we got married. We knew each other
Yeah.
10 years before we
10
got married. We
years.
got married. I was 25.
And can I say this? And maybe it's not common across the table, but 10 years of knowing each other versus some people meet and get married in a year, I don't think that makes a difference.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Well, we were friends, like, even when we were dating other people.
I think that's-
like, I would
That
show
makes
up
a
at her
difference.
house and we
Yeah, we
would talk
knew
and hang
each
out.
other.
And we knew each other.
The foundation is the
There
thing.
was
'Cause- And
foundation.
like in our story, like she led me on and we
Oh.
were friends.
that I'd led you on for a month, maybe.
30 days, Caleb.
30 days. I'm dating Jesus. And I respected that. I'm like, that's great.
Did she really say she was dating
texted me
Jesus?
every day.
Oh,
Something
Actually,
along
said
those
that?
lines.
Jesus.
But I
probably did.
texted you as a friend.
That's
It wasn't
funny.
like, hey baby, how are you? Like I wasn't being like flirty. It was just talking. Like we were generally talking and I was just concerned for
That's
her.
how Sue and I were.
We were just friendship and we built our friendship for 7
And of course, her
months.
friends thought she was nuts.
Yeah.
Her friends
Yeah.
were like,
Her friends.
we went to a
So-
party and her birthday party in high school, and they were trying to convince her to date me.
Exactly.
And
Her
I was
friends
like,
did the
I
same
ain't got time
thing.
for her.
She was
You know what I
dating
mean?
that other
She
guy.
doesn't want to date me. I'm not,
Yeah.
you know.
Heather
Oh,
was
that's
dating
right.
that other
That's a
guy,
good
and
point.
her friends were like, "Dude, you need to go with Caleb. He's a way better guy." And she was with the guy just because he was there at Cornerstone.
Yeah.
And then I can remember your friend Shelly. Love Shell.
Shell.
Yeah.
She's
She'll probably
gonna
watch.
hear
Yeah,
this.
she'll hear it. I can remember the party was in her basement, and back
Yep.
then, 1980s, high school parties in basements. You know.
Yep.
Okay, so anyway, she's like trying to convince me, no,
'Cause
she
I had
really
said-
wants to date you. I'm like, we're in the same room. I'm not gonna. I don't need somebody to talk to
No,
me.
she was on it.
Yeah, she was. Shelly's
She-
always. Yeah, she's on it. You know, wanted to. But anyway, I was like, whatever. You know, she doesn't want to. I'm not gonna sweat over it. But then,
Yeah.
you know, of course, I started dating other girls, and guess who
Oh,
gets
no, I
jealous?
wasn't
That'll
having
do it.
that. No,
That'll do it.
I was not having that.
I'm like, well, you lost your chance. You know, we could have. But anyway,
and then
we
at-
went through that
at some
cycle a
point,
couple
we should
times.
talk about our first actual date. Not today.
We could talk about it right now.
Next time.
What was our first date?
First date
You won't remember.
Yes, I do. Sports banquet at school. Remember that?
Yeah, we were in
Because Shelly went
10th
with
grade?
Dan. Yeah,
10th grade.
10th grade.
We
But-
won't talk about the junior senior prom where I
That
got
was
pulled over.
another
Yeah, we
story.
won't talk about that.
But I remember being mad
bad.
because you didn't try to kiss
We're not
me
going to talk
goodnight.
about this, but we're just going to
Sorry.
talking about the things
Sorry,
we're not gonna
guys.
talk about.
We're not.
It's too much
We're talking about a
information
different
for
thing.
Holy cow.
one podcast.
Oh, listen, it's messy. Seriously.
But-
It's messy.
I think that can lead into a good conversation. Like, how do you see? Because you're messy. You're mess.
We're a
Yep.
mess.
Ours was kind of messy.
Yeah.
How do you see, like, looking back now, and kind of with oversight? How do you see, like, God involved in the steps and along the way? And
Well, obviously, like for me, obviously, God had to be involved because at that time and up till we were married and a little after, I was not involved with God at all. Matter of fact, it was the other way. So like his direction and leading and orchestrating and how he wanted things to work out, were happening all behind the scenes. And of course I didn't.
didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we were dating and out of high school, my favorite cologne smelled like beer, just so you know. I mean, and she's like, "Oh, you smell so good." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the six pack." That I just drank." I mean, it was not good, And so I wasn't following that path at all. Although I was raised, in a Christian home, great mom and dad, in that regard, trying to control me, put me down the right path. But obviously, like I really can't chalk it up to anything else because I was kind of like on my own little path with my own friends that were, not necessarily the best influence. And I wasn't the best influence on them either. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. But I can see how, God orchestrated all that through the course of time, which I'm thankful for. And I told her the other day, and I tell her this often. I mean, when we were dating, like I was paying half of Hallmark's salaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, I bought cards all the time. I don't do it as much. I did give you a card yesterday. Anyway, I said to her the other day, I said, if we were to do it all over again, I would marry you again. I'd want to marry you again. And of course, it's really weird because I look back, there was a lot of mistakes, but I'm not sure I would change any of that because those are the platform for learning and growing and trying to figure out relationship, so. Anyway.
We talked about that a lot early on when we were in the friend but not friend stage, like right in between, because our talks got more real. But we talked about that a lot, and there was a sermon that I was kind of using to help her through some stuff, like it had to happen. And just kind of, we would talk through these things and some of the mistakes we had made before we were even dating, and then even early on dating.
Absolutely. I truly believe I wasn't ready for Caleb. I really wasn't. And I'm not putting him on a pedestal. He hates that. But I was a hot mess in college. I mean, you can ask anybody that knew me, like really knew me. I went to a Christian college, and that was probably the most, realistically unchristian I had ever acted in my life. So
That happens.
yeah, absolutely. But like I said, I had to invest in myself. I had to grow. God prepared me for Caleb. There were a lot of mistakes I made through various relationships that if I could not have brought that into what Caleb and I have right now.
Yeah. Well, we made a ton of mistakes, of course, dating
But
and then
honestly,
into a marriage,
I don't think any of it in our life was a mistake. Do you know what I mean? I feel
no. Yeah.
I
I
feel
mean-
like the Lord has used all the stuff we've been through, either individually or as a couple. And
Well, he uses those things even that were meant for bad. And
Yeah.
those are learning situations.
We were talking yesterday about miracles and just kind of the idea that like people expect a miracle to be, they're saved
Doesn't always
miraculously,
happen
or
that way.
that's a miracle. And I was telling Heather, I'm like, I really think God works the long game. And we were joking about the long game with our relationships and stuff, but I think there's something to be said, like the story of Esther or our stories or your stories, like these things being put into place that just happenstance. Like I don't believe in happenstance, but I think there's something to be said about the long game miracles where God's crafting things and you're seeing things. And we look back now and it's a joke that I didn't have shoes on at her aunt's house. And she would let people in without shoes and picked up strangers off the street. We joke about that, but that was God orchestrated that. I just happened to be home at 2:00 on a Friday afternoon, barefoot, sitting in my house, you know?
Right.
And just things like that. And like even the little details, like getting the ring an hour before and just kind of crafting and God's workmanship. Yeah. And it's really cool to kind of reflect back and see now, like, okay, God, that's what you were doing when I was trying to talk to that girl and that didn't work out. And I can see, you know.
Yeah, you don't see it when it's happening.
Yeah.
No.
You don't even realize what's happening.
And I was to go with that, like, what, with that being said, what advice would you give to somebody who is kind of in that boat where they're not dating, they're single, they're early dating? And you guys can answer this.
You mean like our producer?
Producer. Not quite single as a Pringle, but single as a Pringle.
I would say if you're out of high school and you're just entering into the life thing, you know, especially for 18 to 25s, you know, that's a very crucial age. I would say a couple of things. First and foremost, if you're in that group, I would say the most important thing, and I say this in hindsight of not doing it, because my life was messy. Pursuing your walk with Christ, seeing Him as your sufficiency, the person who makes you who you are. He's the one that defines you. He's the one that gives you strength and breath. And pursuing that first and foremost is probably the best advice I can tell an 18 to 25-year-old. I would also say this: while you're doing that, you need to be in the Word. It's that simple. And so as you progress through life, I believe God uses those things to draw you to the partner that He may or may not have for you. And so I'm not of the persuasion that there's one person in the universe for one person in the universe.
I've said that to Heather, and
I don't believe.
doesn't understand it.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe God, you know, in His divine way, brings people together, but pursuing Him first and foremost. And if you do that, that's going to set you up for a better relationship with whomever.
Yeah. Right.
And if that person sees you, right? Interesting, because we were just talking about this earlier this morning, like, you know, as you're drawn together as people, two human beings that have needs, wants, and desires, and you're created in the image of God, and you're pursuing God together, that doesn't mean that you have to be on the same page of spiritual maturity or the same growth chart.
Right.
You're both pursuing God. You're both different people, and God just so happened to allow you into this person's life. And I would say, based on that, you don't go faster than you should. You don't go slower than you should. You go at the pace of life, spiritual life, normal life, real life, you know, and allow it to develop. I think too many relationships, they either are jumped in too quickly or people bail too quickly. We've seen that countless times. I've met with people and said, you guys should not get married.
Yeah.
Right.
And they get married. And they're coming to us for
And then they want it back.
marriage counseling, and then they're getting divorced. And we're like, we told you not to get married.
Yeah.
You know, we made those mistakes, and we've seen that. So that's probably the best advice I can
And I don't think it's necessarily time, because, I mean, you guys were 10 years.
Right.
We were
Oh,
7,
no.
8 months, basically. But I don't think it's time. I think it's what's put into that time.
Yes.
Like our 11 months. Our 11 months of dating and engaged was like very dedicated to each other, like talking and experiencing things like death and big major life events. That year was filled with, like, your dad had heart surgery, your aunt passed away.
We both went on mission trips.
We went on missions trips. Like it was a year filled with investing in our relationships with God and relying on God while leaning on each other.
I can't even remember, like, you started out having those conversations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we were dating, I don't remember ever having any of those conversations.
No.
At all. So like we started off on
A
the wrong foot.
Yeah,
Right.
we did. Yeah.
The basis wasn't there, and I don't want to blame that on anybody.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with influence and culture and where you go to school and your friends and all that kind of stuff. And you know, people surrounding you, encouraging you.
And I wasn't the type to date for sport. Like I was dating for reason. And I
was.
told her
Sure.
that.
I was, though.
I told her that.
Heather's like, well, that's not me.
Unfortunately, I
Right
mean,
up
I
front,
was.
like that same conversation we had in the car where I said, "What if we do? What if we do work out?" I said, "I'm not going to date you with the idea of throwing you to the curb. I am dating you with marriage as my goal."
Yeah, I don't necessarily like the dating thing to
Yeah.
be, we're just kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And of course, in today's culture, we're just hanging out.
Yep.
Well, we know what that means.
Yeah.
And so you should, knowing our desires as humans, you should be very careful to enter into that lightly because you end up making bad choices because of your human desires, and then you start to and we've all done this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've experienced that, and Sue has, and just going through people, just like just clicking them off, and then you begin to realize, this is not working. And so coming to to grips with, okay, I'm maybe this person is the person. So dating with a purpose in terms of, hey, I'm getting to know you. And honestly, it's not wrong for me to think that I like you. And if God does something, then maybe we can go further and so having a purpose, and even the purpose in recognizing, hey, this is not working.
Yeah.
We're just friends and we're not going to date. And so we're just going to thank God that he gave us each other for that part of it.
Yep. To learn and grow,
But instead of this laissez-faire, we're just hanging out, or the whole hookup thing, which I, don't recommend.
No.
And I think too, letting your family and friends have a part in getting to know.
I mean, me
You as
coming
a
in her
couple.
family was like trying to get through the mafia. Honestly, it was
Seriously.
It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It's not that.
It was.
So I'll tell you,
You can tell. She,
when
She
Heather
does.
and I weren't even dating, we just started like even talking at all. She was having a fundraiser dinner for her missions trip. And Heather invited me and said, "Hey, can you come help set up this fundraiser with me?"
was it a spaghetti dinner?
Yeah, it was something like that. Like,
Why did I remember that?
Probably you counseled us. I mean, we probably talked
Probably
about
heard
it.
that story.
Because I'm about to tell you the next part where she didn't tell me that she wasn't going to be there.
I was in astronomy class.
She's up in
In
Grand
Grand
Rapids.
Rapids.
I show up at the church to help her set up, and it's just me and her mom.
Was that awkward?
Oh, it was very awkward.
That's
and
funny.
then we set up, and I'm like, okay, this was super weird. And I text her, I'm like, where are you? And she's like, I won't be there till like midnight tonight. I'm driving back tonight.
Were you
and I'm
testing him?
like, and
I don't remember doing that, to be honest. I'm not putting it past
You remember.
I remember
21-year-old
because
Heather. I'm not putting it past me.
this was like,
But
we had just met.
But-
We've hung out. We went on the one date.
maybe I
we
thought you
hung out
would,
one other
would
time.
assume I wouldn't be there because I had a night class. I don't know.
But anyway, we set up, and her mom goes, "Okay, let's go get something to eat." So basically, I'm on this date with her mom.
That is
at the Chinese
hilarious.
restaurant, and her mom's pretty abrupt. Love you, Pat, but she's abrupt, and we're sitting at the table, and I've met this girl twice. And she asked me to hang out and help. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll hang out and help.
Yeah.
And Pat's like, what are your intentions with my daughter? What are your plans? And she's just like vomiting all this stuff. And I'm like, nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not sure.
So, yeah, getting into the mafia, like,
Oh yeah,
I stepped into something
He
there,
is
but-
the only one out of. I mean, and I won't want to say I dated a lot, but my family did not like any of my previous boyfriends.
Same here.
He's the only one that they don't. It's not even they like him. They love him. He's a great father. He's a great husband. So
I mean, I can, we only got like 4 or 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left, but I can remember this thought just ran through my mind when I decided I wanted to marry Sue. And she said to me, well, when she said yes, but you have to talk to my dad,
Of course.
and I'm thinking,
And
I wasn't scared to. So I get there. It was summertime. And he's out cutting the grass. And I'm like, hey, I'd like to. And he just kept going.
my dad was
I was
very
like-
quiet.
Mr. Tennyson, could I talk to you? And he just kept mowing. So, you know what I did? I started following him up and down the mow tracks and
Yeah.
walking behind him. I'm like, I'm not
trying to talk.
I am not going to stop until he stops. So he finally stopped me. Super quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super quiet. And so I finally asked him, and he didn't respond at all. He was like,
Did that feel awkward?
did it feel awkward?
Well, you just
What do you think? I just following him around his yard while he's pushing the
He
lawnmower.
was making you work.
He was making me work, and then he finally gave up and he sat down. I actually think he asked me if I wanted a beer. I think maybe he did.
Probably.
I can't remember. He probably did. Anyway, so we talked about it a little bit. He goes, "Yeah, I think that will be okay.
Yeah.
Just take care of my daughter." I'm like, "All right." And her and our Sue's mom and I, we got along well. I would go up and talk to her mom when she wasn't even home. We'd hang out.
Yeah.
And,
You
so
guys
that was
like to banter.
Oh yeah, I like give her a hard time.
Yeah.
She kind of liked that a
Yeah.
little bit. But anyway, yeah, I remember that. I'm like, why do guys have to be put through all this torture?
Yeah, that was
Can
kind
you
of
not
torture.
just say yes? Okay. No, it's just torture. But to summarize, like marriage in ministry. It's one of those things where if you start off with a good foundation,
Yeah.
and it kind of goes back to answering the question that was asked, like,
Yeah.
if God's supposed to be our first love, then how about marriage? Starting off with the foundation of Christ at the center. We know what the Bible says about that. And working on your walk and your relationship with him is only going to benefit you when you get married, because then you begin to learn how to treat and love your wife the way God wants you to do that. And it's it's not all roses. There'll be rough patches, and I mean, Sue and I could talk to you for hours.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hours and hours about And I think everybody has a story, right? Everybody has those
Right.
stories that we can talk through. But marriage, I never would have wanted to marry anybody else. I still don't. I still think that,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty protective of my wife. Yeah, I am. But anyway, and then the whole ministry thing, put that on top of it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
that's just a whole other plate of mess.
Yeah, it is.
I was going to say something, but I lost it. But I think we're running out of time anyway.
We are.
So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining
you.
us. And if you guys have more questions,
This will be
this will be a big one.
a big one, the biggest viewed podcast we have yet.
Yep.
I guarantee you that.
Yep. And if you have more questions or if you just want pretty women in here instead of us, maybe
I mean, they can come into
we
the
can
podcast
bring them
anytime.
back. We can get into some more deeper,
Very
topics,
select.
but-
Few pretty women, not
Yeah.
just these two.
Yeah, we don't
I don't want to have to answer
The right
questions tonight at supper. Like, what were you talking about? We didn't mean that.
No. So thanks for watching. Thanks
Yeah,
for hanging out
thank
with
you.
us. Check us out on Spotify and our link tree on Instagram.
Questions,
and all
if you have
leave
questions.
questions, comments, concerns.
Yep.
Leave your concerns to yourself.
All right, ladies, don't forget.
Don't
do it with
forget.
us.
You guys gonna do it?
Yep.
Don't forget.
Keep your nose in the book.
Oh, how many minutes do you have?